A speech from the president, getting a little fiery there at the end, delivering remarks at the Detroit Auto Show. The president announcing $900 million in funding for the construction of electric vehicle chargers. The White House says these chargers will be spread across 35 states and 53,000 miles of the national highway system. At one point, he said they're going to be as visible as gas stations. That is the hope, standing there in front of, obviously, electric and hybrid vehicles, and in front of a friendly crowd as well, touting America can do anything if we do it together. I want to bring in ABC News White House correspondent Mary Alice Parks. Mary Alice, you listened to that entire speech. You spent a lot of time in Michigan talking to people who work in the auto industry. What are they telling you about the future of these EVs?
Yeah, Phil, just a few takeaways from that speech. First, you heard the president say that he is a car guy, that he believes that manufacturing in the U.S. is roaring back. We've really seen this tone from the president all summer. They've been excited. The White House has been so excited to celebrate major investments in electric vehicles, not only as a way to meet their climate goals, meet goals in reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but as a way to boost U.S. manufacturing. And I got to tell you, that was the sentiment I found on the ground in Michigan, too. Like you said, I spent a lot of time there last month talking to auto workers, and I was a little bit surprised. I thought maybe I would find a little more reticence, people who'd worked their whole life on other engines, gas engines, now being asked to transition. But that's really not what I found. I found that people were really excited. First, car dealers were excited because these new electric vehicles are selling like crazy. Even at expensive prices, they are selling as fast as they come in. And the auto workers are feeling like these major investments from the federal government and from companies like Ford and GM mean that there's a future for the American car industry, that their jobs were taken care of. And they felt a sense of pride that they were going to be a part of inventing the future, or sort of figuring out the next wave of cars. So I do think that the president is hitting on something here, a true excitement among American manufacturers that really believe that some of this, new energy is exciting to them.
Among manufacturers, yes. Is it a good thing to do politically? That's the thing that everybody's going to try to figure out right now as we head into the season. Inflation's so high costs of these electric vehicles, even though you mentioned they are selling. Is it risky, do you think, politically, for the president to focus on this when inflation is as it is in this country, and folks are worried about 40% increase in eggs?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. It's one thing if you're directly related, your jobs, your household jobs, your community is related to this new industry, a changing auto industry. And it's another question for everyone else. You're exactly right. It potentially is politically risky for the president to be talking so much about these new, very expensive cars when so many Americans are struggling at the grocery store. But I have to say there's another part of the White House's political calculation here, and that's young voters that we do know, and poll after poll have said they're willing to vote on climate change, and believe that in the past that issue has been put on the back burner, and they've been looking at this White House to finally do something. Democratic voters that potentially will come out if they feel like this White House is paying attention. And so I think that these kinds of speeches are sort of designed not only to talk to a union base, but also talk to a youth base that's excited about climate change. So we're going to see in less than 2 months, obviously with the midterm elections, whether these political calculations were risky or pan out for Democrats.
That's exactly what I wanted to talk to you next, Mary Alice, about. It is 2 months. The midterm elections usually go one way when one party's in power, but it's pretty tight by all accounts. It's a political calculation, as you mentioned, and everything really is in this season a political calculation. But it seems like the White House is betting that this, along with abortion rights and some of the other issues that they are going out and talking to the American public about right now, will be winning issues.
Absolutely. And especially, like you mentioned, abortion. They're not only trying to talk about these sort of exciting new parts of a new transition, new sort of economy, but they're trying to hammer home the issue of abortion access and reproductive health. You're exactly right. And that was a big deal on the ground in Michigan, too. Remember, Michigan has a Democratic governor, but a Republican-controlled state house. And the Democratic governor has basically pivoted her campaign to say that she is this last line of defense against what could be Republican bills to limit abortion access. Democrats have really doubled down on that kind of messaging. Phil, we saw this just this week when Senator Lindsey Graham here in Washington introduced what would be a national ban on abortion at 15 weeks into a pregnancy. Democrats started taking that clip of him and running ads. I mean, they are saying that this is a threat from Republicans, and they believe that this is the kind of messaging that will bring out their Democratic voters in November.
And while we're on the subject, Mary Alice, there was some concern after Roe v. Wade was overturned that same-sex marriage could be next. There was also some language in Justice Thomas's opinion that leaned in that direction. What's the latest on the Senate push for federal protection?
Yeah, Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has promised to bring a bill to the Senate floor that would codify protections for same-sex marriage. And just today, he took to the floor to really talk about this again. He talked about how this is a personal issue for him and his family, and that basically if the Senate takes up this vote, it would be to protect against any threat of these protections being hampered, being chipped away at by the Supreme Court. Like you mentioned, Democrats really fear that this could be where a conservative Supreme Court is headed next. And Schumer is basically really begging his Republican colleagues to meet him on this. They know that they need 10 Republicans to vote with Democrats, to vote with them if they're going to be successful. But they're hoping to really pull at the heartstrings and say that if it happened to be that the Supreme Court got rid of the protections for same-sex marriage, it would be devastating, obviously, for millions and millions of Americans around this country. And so Senate Democrats trying to get ahead of this and promising a vote on this.
Mary Alice, finally, what's being said in Washington? You have your ear to the ground there. What is being said? You know, this move by Lindsey Graham to make a federal ban after 15 weeks. When the Supreme Court pushed it back to the states, that was the talking point from Republicans. Democrats at the time warned, hey, that's not as far as they want to go. And 2 months before the midterms, Lindsey Graham pushes for this, national ban. In Washington, how is that landing? And do you think it is going to be, politically prudent at this time?
Yeah, Phil, you're exactly right. You hit the nail on the head there. We have Democrats crying foul. They are pointing to hypocrisy. They are saying this is exactly a doublespeak from Republicans that said that abortion should be decided in the states, reproductive health should be decided in state houses. And then all of a sudden, there's a Republican, a prominent Republican on Capitol Hill introducing a national ban. So Democrats really, sort of lighting flares and trying to sound the alarm. And like I said, calling out what they see as real hypocrisy. But I have to tell you, not all Republicans are on board with Lindsey Graham's proposal. We've heard Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell really sort of throwing cold water on it. He wouldn't make any promises that he would bring it up for a vote if Republicans did take the Senate. He's trying to slow roll this. He knows that it is very controversial and that there are a lot of Republicans who do believe this should be decided by the states. So this will be, obviously, it has been a divisive issue and will continue to be a divisive issue well past November.
Absolutely, and we know you'll keep an eye on it for us all. Mary Alice Parks, thanks so much from Washington. We appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.